This is me, Priyanka Neelakrishnan. Welcome to the Enterprise Security Episode 3 on CASB versus SSE versus SASE. Your CISO walks into the room and says, "We need a CASB." Your network team says, "We are moving into SASE." Your security architect says, "We should be looking at the SSE first." And your vendor sends you a deck where all three terms appear on the same slide. If you have been confused by these acronyms, you're not alone. Most security buyers can't clearly explain how they fit together. Most vendors won't explain it cleanly either because the confusion sells more product. I am Priyanka Neelakrishnan. I've spent over a decade building enterprise security products. In the next 12 to 15 minutes, I'm going to clear this up. By the end, you will know exactly what each category is, where they overlap, and how to spot vendor BS in your next POC. Let's get started. So, quick disclaimer, everything I say in this video is my personal opinion. It does not represent the views of any current or past employers or anyone. Definitions, Magic Quadrant references come from public Gartner sources, and I have no financial relationship with any vendor I mention. All right. So now let's get into the acronyms. First, let's name the problem. Why is this so confusing? Here are 6 acronyms that get used interchangeably in vendor pitches: CASB, SWIG SWG, ZTNA, SASE SASE, SSE, Firewall as a Service, FWAAS. Each one was coined by Gartner over the past 15 years. CASB came first in 2012. SASE SASE came next in 2019. SSE was added in 2021. The others came in between. Each term originally described a specific product category. Then vendors started building them. Then Gartner created umbrella categories to describe the bundles. Then vendors started using the umbrella terms to describe individual products. This isn't accidental. The blurrier the categories, the easier it is to claim leadership in all of them. Let's untangle it. We start with the oldest one because everything else builds on top of it. CASB, CASB, stands for Cloud Access Security Broker. Gartner coined the term in 2012 when companies were starting to use SaaS applications like Salesforce, Box, Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, whatnot. And security teams realized they had no visibility into what was happening inside those applications. That's when CASB came into the picture. The picture on the screen is the simplest way to think about it. There is a user, there is a SaaS application. CASB sits in the middle and enforces policy. Who can log in, what data can they upload, what they can download, whether the device is compliant, whether the file contains sensitive information. Gartner defined what they called the 4 pillars of CASB. Visibility, knowing which cloud applications are in use, including shadow IT. Second, compliance, enforcing regulations like HIPAA or GDPR in cloud applications. Third, data security, stopping sensitive data from leaving via cloud channels. Fourth is threat protection, like catching malware and account takeovers in SaaS. Here's Gartner's actual definition. Quote, on-premises or cloud-based security policy enforcement points placed between cloud service consumers and cloud service providers to combine and interject enterprise security policies as the cloud-based resources are accessed. End quote. Strip away the jargon and CASB is just a checkpoint. a checkpoint between your people and the SaaS applications they use. That's it. Hold that picture in your head because it'll matter in a minute. Fast forward to 2019, the world has changed. People aren't in offices anymore. Apps aren't in data centers anymore. Branch offices are connecting to dozens of cloud services directly instead of routing everything back to headquarters. The old hub and spoke network model is breaking. Gartner saw this and coined a new category, SASE, SASE, Secure Access Service Edge, pronounced as SASE. SASE is the idea that networking and security should be delivered together as a single cloud service, right? Not as a separate products bolted together. The Gartner's definition lists 5 things that go into SASE. On the network side, SD-WAN, software defined networking. On the security side, 4 services like SWIG, the Secure Web Gateway, which filters web traffic. Then CASB, which we just talked about. Then ZTNA, Zero Trust Network Access, which is the modern replacement for VPN. And FWAAS, Firewall as a Service. All of those combined into one platform, delivered from the cloud, sold by one vendor. That's SASE. It's not a product, it's an architectural pattern and it's ambitious. It asks you to consolidate networking and security with the same vendor at the same time. Most enterprises can't do that all at once, right? So, which brings to 2021, the third acronym, which is the one that Gartner introduced, SSE, Security Service Edge, pronounced SSE, not SE. Here's the math. SASE equals SSE plus SD-WAN. SASE, SASE equals SSE plus SD-WAN. That's really the whole concept. SSE is the security half of SASE, sold without the networking half. Why did Gardner add this, you may ask? Because most enterprises don't want to replace their entire networking stack on day one. The CISO might be desperate to consolidate cloud security tools. The networking team isn't ready to retire MPLS or rip out their existing SD-WAN vendor. SSE lets you buy just the security piece, that is, SWIG plus CASB plus ZTNA plus FAS, without touching the network. You can adopt SSE today and add SD-WAN to make it full SASE later. This was the most useful piece of category naming Gartner has done in years. Honestly, I think this is good. It matched how customers actually buy. So your pain points, your reality is taken into consideration. Now, here's the picture I want you to remember. Take a screenshot of the slide if you take nothing else from this video. The outer box is SASE, SASE, the whole architectural pattern, networking plus security converged into one cloud service. Inside SASE, there are 2 halves. SD-WAN on one side, that's the network half. SSE on the other side, that's the security half. And inside SSE, there are 4 services: SWIG, SWG, CASB, CASB, ZTNA, Firewall as a Service. SWIG, CASB, ZTNA, and Firewall as a Service, so basically 4. So when someone asks if, is CASB the same as SSE? The answer is no. Why? Because CASB is one component inside SSE. And when they ask, is SSE the same as SASE, SASE? The answer is also no. SSE is half of SASE. Got it? So CASB is a feature, SSE is a starting platform, SASE, SASE is the destination. Now, we get to the part the title of this video promises. What your vendor isn't telling you. Truth number one. Single vendor SASE often means stitched together acquisitions. Most of the large vendors selling SASE today did not build all five components in house. They bought CASB companies, they bought SD-WAN companies, they bought ZTNA companies, they put them under one logo. The integration depth varies widely between vendors. Two products under the same brand can have completely different management consoles, different policy engines, and different data planes. Always ask which pieces were built natively and which were acquired, and if acquired, are they all tied and stitched together now? Truth number two. Being a leader in the SSE Magic Quadrant doesn't mean a vendor is the leader for your specific use case. Magic Quadrant rankings are based on aggregate criteria: vision, execution, breadth of capability. A vendor can be a leader overall while being weak in CASB or weak in ZTNA specifically. If your priority is securing SaaS, you need to look at the CASB specific scorecard, not just the headline ranking. Truth number three. Standalone CASB is being absorbed into SSE. Few enterprises are buying CASB as a separate product, but I don't think it works anymore. Most are getting it as part of the SSE bundle. If a vendor is selling you a standalone CASB in 2026, right? Ask why. Either they don't have the rest of the SSE stack, in which case you are going to have integration problems once you buy them, or they are hoping to upsell you the rest later. All right, truth number four. ZTNA is the most overpromised piece of all of this. Real zero trust requires identity context. Most ZTNA products today don't have it. They replace your VPN. They give you a tunnel into specific apps based on user identity. That's useful, but it's not the same as zero trust. Zero trust requires knowing whether this person on this device in this context should be doing what they are trying to do. That's identity governance. That's a different category. Don't let a ZTNA product convince you that you have solved zero trust. So, who are the actual players? Per Gartner's 2025 Magic Quadrants, here's the landscape. In the SSE Magic Quadrant published in May 2025, the leader quadrant includes Zscaler, Netscope, and Palo Alto Networks. These are companies whose primary strength is the security half. Cloud delivered SWIG, CASB, ZTNA, firewall as a service. They may or may not also have SD-WAN. In the SSE, SASE, SASE Platforms Magic Quadrant, which was published in July 2025, you see a different set of leaders: Fortinet, Palo Alto Networks, Cato Networks, and others. Because that quadrant evaluates the full network plus security bundle. Some vendors lead in both, some lead in only one. And here's the important caveat: Magic Quadrant positions shift every year. Always verify current placement before making a procurement decision. Don't rely on a chart someone forwarded you from last year. Okay, the practical question: which one should you actually buy? Buy CASB alone? Almost never in 2026. The only reason to buy a standalone CASB is if you have a very specific SaaS coverage gap and an existing security stack you can't replace. For most organizations, buying CASB as a separate product just adds another console for your team to manage. SSE will give you the same CASB capability plus the rest. Buy SSE. This is where most enterprises should start. If your team is hybrid or remote, you have SaaS sprawl. You're drowning in browser based AI tools your employees signed up for last week, and your existing network is functional. You want SSE. You get SWIG, CASB, ZTNA, and Firewall as a Service as one cloud delivered service, one console, one policy engine, and everything your users touch in the cloud governed in one place. Buy SASE, the full thing, when you're also modernizing your network. If you're refreshing branch routers, retiring MPLS circuits, and you want one vendor for both networking and security, then SASE makes sense. It's not a security purchase, it's a network plus security purchase. Don't do this unless your network team is part of the conversation, all right? Whichever path you go, when you run a proof of concept, ask these 5 questions. The answer will tell you everything. Number 1, was your CASB, SWIG, and ZTNA built natively or acquired? When and if they hesitate or pivot, that's your answer. Let's say, even if it's acquired, have they tried it up closely? How is that integration went along? So, that question is also worth asking. And number 2, show me one policy that crosses CASB plus SWIG plus ZTNA in a single console. If they need 3 different screens to demonstrate it, the integration is shallower than the marketing claims. Number 3, what's your false positive rate on our real traffic in a 2-week POC? Not their demo data, but yours. Number 4, how does your platform see and control GenAI and Microsoft Copilot traffic specifically? This is the gap most legacy SSE platforms have right now. The honest vendors will say what works and what doesn't. The dishonest ones will hand wave. So make sure you ask that question. And number 5, if we don't buy your SD-WAN, do we still get full SSE features? This question reveals whether the vendor is genuinely SSE first or whether they are trying to lock you into a network purchase you don't need yet. Here's what I want you to remember about all of this. CASB, SSE, and SASE aren't 3 competing products. They are a roadmap. CASB is a feature, SSE is the starting platform, and SASE is the eventual destination. Most enterprises adopt them in that order over the course of 18 to, say, 36 months. If a vendor presents these as 3 different things you need to choose between, they are selling. If a vendor explains how the pieces stage together over time, starting with what you need now and what comes next, they are partnering. Thus, that specific distinction is more important than any feature comparison. Are they selling or are they partnering? All right. If you take one thing from this video, the next time a vendor says we are a SASE leader, ask them which magic quadrant they are referring to. The next time they say we have CASB, ask whether it was built or acquired. And the next time they say zero trust, ask what identity signals they actually use to make decisions. Those 3 questions will separate the vendors who understand the architecture from the ones who memorize the brochure. If this breakdown was useful, subscribe. Category breakdowns from someone who builds the product. That's me. So no vendor pitches, no hype, just what works and what I have seen over my career. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, this is me, Priyanka Neelakrishnan, signing off. See you on the next one. Bye.